Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Crouthamel. Today, we will be previewing the Rutgers Norfolk State game, talk about what we want to see out of this game. I think we all kind of know it's going to be a Rutgers victory. Talk about kind of what we want the takeaways to be following the final whistle. And we'll also talk about some of the visitors, because there's a bigger visitor list than you would expect for a game against an FCS opponent. But first, this podcast is once again presented to you by FanDuel. I have a bet that I really, really, really like. Not for this week, but for next week. This is a Rutgers-related bet. So the line for the Rutgers-Iowa game just dropped yesterday, which is kind of surprising that Rutgers-Norfolk State doesn't have a line, but Rutgers-Iowa has a line. So as of now, Rutgers is a 1.5 underdog in this game at home. Iowa has not been able to move the ball at all. They have a good defense and they have a good offensive line, but I think this is a game, and we've seen it time and time again, good offense will beat good defense 9 times out of 10. I don't think Iowa can move the ball at all outside of Mark Gronowski runs. So this is a hammer the money line for Rutgers while it's still positive, because I think other sites don't have this line as this is one of the shortest lines, so I expect this to continue to open up. I think Rutgers will be a favorite by the time kickoff happens. So if you want to get in while Rutgers is an underdog on the money line, I would do it now. But let's talk about Rutgers Norfolk State. So to kind of give you an overview of Norfolk State, they are an FCS program in Delaware. Michael Vick is the head coach. He took over a program that had been struggling for a few years. Rutgers has played Norfolk State several times in recent memory. They are known for having a pretty good band. They've played 2 quarterbacks this year already. I just had it open. I'm sorry. In Otto Kuhns, who's a transfer from Eastern Illinois, the Fighting Tony Romos, and number 7 is Israel Carter. Their first game of the season, they beat a D2 school, Virginia State, 34-31. Last week, they fell to Towson, 27-7, in a game that they really weren't competing in the entire game. That's kind of the high-level synopsis. Like, I don't think it's worthwhile to go into, why a 5'5" gadget player who's got, 4.5 speed might be a guy to watch. I don't think this should be a game that is competitive at any point. So for Rutgers, I'm going to go around the room here. What is the main takeaway you want to have coming out of this game? I'm leaving it fairly open because I want you guys to kind of take your own direction on this. Richie, what is the one thing you want to walk away from this game? Other than, let's take injury out of it, because we all want them to leave healthy. So what's the main thing you want to take away from this game if you're Rutgers?
Real quick, Virginia, not Delaware. But anyway.
Oh, they're in Virginia, sorry.
Yes, yeah. Main takeaway. Taking away health out of it. I want to see the defense do something. I want to see sacks. I'm tired of these. They had a couple pressures last week. They had a good amount of pressures actually last week, but they weren't able to convert those into sacks. Alex said it on the last pod, actually. I think he showed us the screenshots. Daquan Finn was surrounded 4 different times, and just they weren't able to get the sack. This guy's
on the same drive, by the way.
Yeah,
all 3 screenshots I showed were from the same 2-minute drive.
I didn't even know that, actually. That's insane. But they're so close to converting these pressures into sacks, and I just want to see a couple sacks this week, especially because Otto Kuhns, whatever his name is. He's just not mobile like these other 2 are. Daquan Finn was mobile. Parker Navarro is mobile. He's not as mobile as the other 2. Does he have mobility? Yes, of course he does. But he's not as mobile as the other quarterback, Carter, I believe his name is, that was starting the first 2 games. So they're going back to more traditional quarterback. So they should be able to create to not only create pressures, but also turn it into sacks. I just need to see Eric O'Neill do something. I shouldn't say Eric O'Neill specifically because he did something last week, but I need to see Bradley Weaver, Jordan Walker, Jordan Thompson. I want Digital Abdul-Rahman, get him more snaps if that's what it's going to take. He had a sack last week. I need to see these edge rushers not only produce pressures, but also convert them into sacks, because I'm sick and tired of these guys just breaking out of the pocket, breaking contain, and then picking up a chunk play on a third down and long. It's like it's driving me insane.
Yeah, I'll keep it on the defensive side because I mean, looking at the offense, I don't think they'll really struggle all that much. I mean, watching the Delaware State or Virginia State game, like they were just going way over the top on Norfolk State's DBs. So I think Rutgers should have a pretty, whether it's similar strategy of just like they're going to try to protect the deep ball, just like take what you get, like 10-yard out routes or in breakers or anything like that. So I think we'll probably see a lot of that on offense. I'm not very worried about them. I'll take it another side with the defense. I want to see turnovers because they finally got a turnover with the pick from Bo Masco against Miami, but now turnovers it's a bit different. Turnovers from creating sacks, it's a bit more like chance. Obviously, the offense has to make a bad play to give you a chance at a turnover. But I want to see them try to attack the turnovers, get the ball back, things like that. So just kind of like I guess what Rich and I are both saying, we want to see another step from the defense against a team that they should physically overmatch.
Yeah, that would be my 1A, but just to kind of give another point to this, I would like to see some of the backup linemen really shine. Like we've had two guys now who probably would have been the starting left tackle go down in Riders Langsdale in the preseason, and now Dante Chin, who I don't, obviously Shiano has not announced him is out for the season. He said his status will be in the injury report. Maybe he comes back later this year, but I want to see a guy like Justin Cesare or Mashoud Giwa step up and look competent because you're going to need that kind of size and strength the rest of the season in the Big Ten. And you hope no more guys get hurt, but I really want to see how some of the backups along the offensive line look. And also, I would love to just get a preview of AJ Sarace. I think I've probably talked about him the most of anyone on this. I had him as my on our pre-season offensive preview as like my breakout player in a slant where like he's the guy that like a lot of people are talking about. Not that he's going to make the biggest impact, but I think he is a guy that could potentially shine late in the game. So I'd love to see him spin it on Saturday. But those are kind of my main areas. I guess if we're talking about defense, we've kind of went on and on a lot about, some of their struggles, why we think they're struggling. Is there an area specifically that you guys want to see the defense? Like you talked about, getting to the quarterback. But what about like just from like a scheme discipline standpoint? Are you guys just hoping to see guys like in the right places to make plays, which is kind of like what our main struggle has been, is our guys have not been in the areas they're designated to be on specific play calls. Like that to me is like a huge thing defensively that I want to see. What about you guys?
I think that like there's a lot of opportunities where they're in the right situations. The coaching staff's putting them there. They're just making the wrong reaction, basically. Like they're doing it based on gut instead of listening to what the coaching staff has taught them in practice over and over. And Greg's kind of reiterated that too. Like Jet Ewad, like there was one scenario last week where I think I told you guys this a couple times. He's running straight up into the box like he's going to go blitz almost. And then out of nowhere, he's like, oh, shit. Turns around. And it's like, oh, my God, the guy already caught it. It's too late. He's already 40 yards down the field. I think that they're just going based on gut too many times. Like they have to just trust in the coaching staff and trust in what they're telling them and trust that they're putting them in the right situations. Now, if it's going to be – and Greg took fault for one of those big plays, whether it be that one or the other one, we'll probably never know because they'll probably never admit it. But I do think that it's just they need to figure some things out. I think they're just trusting – they're going based on too much on gut, not too much on quick reactions. Trust the coaching staff to put you in these situations. And I also think – they kind of got to experiment a little bit in terms of personnel too, because we saw a lot more of Abram Wright last week, and I thought he looked solid versus Moses Walker, who had his struggles. So maybe you start switching some guys up this week, trying to get more reps ahead of the Iowa game and figure out who your starters really are, because Abram Wright, I think, could have been a starter if he was fully healthy in the offseason, but he wasn't. I think the safety position you probably need to figure out too, but that's a totally different argument there. But yeah, that's really all I got.
Yeah, pretty much just better angles, better eye discipline, things like that. One thing I'm interested in seeing is like when the second team does eventually come in, who's going to contribute? Is there someone that could play their way into getting some first team reps, or at the very least being a depth guy? Is what I'm interested in seeing too. And yeah, I agree. There's only so much you can do as coaches. At a certain point, it's up to the players to execute. Um, it's like the old adage in baseball where it's like, people get on Aaron Boone for his management of the bullpen and things like that with the Yankees, but it's like, Aaron Boone can only, it's obviously different sports and a different thing, but like the guys themselves, they have to throw strikes. The coaches, Aaron Boone and Matt Blake, can't throw strikes for them. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like the execution just has to be better. And again, I think it will get better. Hopefully this is, hopefully for Rutgers, this is a first step in getting there. And, kind of like a get right game, I guess, because this is a team that has struggled against a fellow SCS team and then Division II team. So it's just a matter of, I think they'll probably stick to a lot of the basics. I don't think they're going to try so much new stuff, and getting to the basics and what they know and a lot of the I guess, quote unquote, regular stuff that they want to run on defense. Just make sure you hammer that stuff down and get their confidence up.
Totally agree. We will be live with you guys in the post-game show as usual. The game is tomorrow, Saturday the 13th at 3:30 p.m. So expect a post-game show around 7-ish, right, guys? I think we're going to try and go immediately following the game. So look forward to that tomorrow. We'll have everything that happened in the game. Hopefully, we're just singing some praises tomorrow about nothing but good things that happen, right? That's how these games always play out. Nothing but good things. But speaking of good things, big time visitor list scheduled for tomorrow's game. You would think, and I realize that like Friday night games, while the atmosphere is, electric, a lot of kids play high school games on Fridays. So I don't expect a big turnout recruiting wise for the Rutgers Iowa game. So maybe that's why there's going to be so many kids at the Norfolk State game, because if you think about it, Rutgers has Norfolk State, they have Iowa on a Friday night, and then you don't have another home game until, I believe, homecoming against Oregon. Mm-hmm. So almost a month between games. Rich, you got the list up on the site. You want to talk high level, some of the top prospects that are going to be on campus for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, ton of commits for the 2026 class. That's kind of usual. That's nothing really to read into too much there. I know some are speculating, hey, there's wide receivers on there, so like maybe they're going to try to convince the future quarterbacks they're going to be here. Going hand in hand with that, there's supposed to be 5 different 2027 quarterbacks. Every single one of them has at least one Power 4 offer, if not multiple. We got kids coming up from Georgia, kids from Michigan, New Jersey, obviously, Florida, and New York. So they're kind of starting to figure out the 2027 quarterback board a little later than usual for most programs. But I think I've told people this, and if you haven't read one of our articles on Xavier Stern with Tony Rasiopi, who's like one of the QB gurus of New Jersey and the Northeast, he basically said he likes how Rutgers does it with quarterback recruiting because they're very patient with it. They wait a long time because they want to see these guys develop more and see how they develop. And obviously, and he said it word for word, he's like, obviously, the longer you wait for them to develop, the longer you're going to take in the process, the more polished these guys are overall as quarterbacks, and you get a feel for what they're really going to be. Like Xavier Stern was a very, very late commit. Mind you, they had Gavin Sidwar beforehand, and obviously that situation is totally different. If I say obviously one more time, I would freak out. But anyway, so there's a couple different quarterbacks on campus. There's specifically, I'm looking at Kendall Franklin, who was on campus for a camp back in June, coming over from Michigan. He's one to keep a close eye on. There's Dorian Fauntleroy, if I pronounce that correctly, coming up from Florida. He's got a couple Power 5 offers, Power 4 offers, whatever you want to call it. I believe he has Arkansas, Auburn, a couple other G6s, G5s. I don't know. What do we call it now? P4, G6, P5, G5? I don't know what the Pac-12 is anymore, to be honest with you. But Javian Robinson's coming back to campus. This is a good sign I shouldn't say good sign. This is a chance for Rutgers to make up some ground. It's weird to say that because Rutgers was the leader for 6 months in that recruitment. He goes to Penn State last week. Penn State offers. He's a Penn State kid. His running back is a 5-star running back on his high school team committed to Penn State. If you're like a middle Pennsylvania kid and you get a Penn State offer, you're probably going to lean that way. He's now going back to Penn State for the whiteout, but he was a Rutgers lean for the past couple months. So he said to us multiple times, Rutgers is the number one. Rutgers is the number one. So they got to try to swing it back in their favor this weekend. We'll see how that works. I'm going to butcher this one. Olubaboa, maybe, I think, close. St. Peter's Prep, number one kid in New Jersey in 27, is going to be on campus again. Has also called Rutgers one of his favorites previously. Something to keep an eye on. Langston Prigion. I suck at pronunciations. Class of 2028, Virginia kid, top 25 in his class. Rutgers legacy kid. His dad played for Terry Shea. Him and his dad will be on campus this weekend. The Woodward twins, who are like number 30 and unranked, but I shouldn't say unranked. High 3-star in the 28 class are going to be on campus. There's a lot of big names. Kids coming up from Florida. Wide receiver, who else? Ohio wide receiver, Chuck Alexander's coming over to campus. He's a high caliber kid, lots of Power 4 offers. This is a very, very good list for such a shitty game. But it's a good chance to showcase the program, showcase the atmosphere, and just kind of just get more face-to-face time with the coaches. And that's all that really matters with these visits, is getting face-to-face time afterwards before the game, and just seeing what Rutgers can really do. And it's always good to see Rutgers put on quite a show, which they more than likely will with this offense this year, and kind of a shitty team on the other side.
Yeah, I think it's that. And then also, like, I'm not saying the coaching staff is taking any focus away from this game because it's an FCS team, but, after the game, if they want to meet up with the coaches or anything like that, it's probably going to be a better environment coming off a big win compared to, if the Iowa game doesn't go as they want it to or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's, it makes sense. Let's see. I had another point that I wanted to. Prigion is actually getting a lot of attention. I believe he's 25th in the Rivals. I also could be saying that wrong. I don't know for sure, but this is just my interpretation of his name. But he's also getting a lot. He visited Texas A&M for their first game back in the final weekend of August. He's visiting Virginia next weekend as well. So he's getting a lot of attention on the trail. And he's from Stonebridge High School, which is one of the top public schools in Northern Virginia for their football program. And then also whatever. But they also had a couple of Rutgers guys involved as well. I believe Chase Getter took a visitor too. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't remember if it might be Jeter. I don't remember.
It's Jeter, I think.
Chase Jeter. Okay. Cornerback who visited at one point, and then Kendrick Golston. We remember he took an official visit as the 4-star linebacker. Ended up committing to Georgia, I believe, right?
Tennessee, I think.
Or Tennessee, one of the two. He ended up committing to the SEC.
But yeah.
He ended up committing to the SEC anyways. But yeah, really solid program to get involved in. And they got involved with Prigion early. So if they can – it seemed like things might have been trending away from Rutgers, especially when that visit list came out. And he's been involved with some other schools trying to schedule visits, some pretty big-name ones. Like Tennessee is also one of those. So if they can show off a really good visit for him, they can get back into the swing of things with his recruitment. I mean, he's very highly regarded. As a sophomore, he's got pretty good size at cornerback too. So 6'1", 175. So it'd be a good one to continue to be involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we'll see any commits coming out of this weekend, but a lot of opportunity to really get a head start on the 27 and 28 class, because there'll be a lot of top players from the entire Northeast and Southeast even on campus for it. So there is no betting line out for this game as of now. I think that'll be released tomorrow. That's usually how things get released for these FCS Power 4 games. But Bill Connolly does have like score projections based on SP Plus. And we're going to use that as kind of, our over-under and also our spread prediction here. So I'm going to pull that up. Alex, do you have that open still? If not, I could pull it up. I just closed
I can share it.
Perfect. So the score prediction that Bill Connolly has using his SP Plus metric for the Rutgers Norfolk State game is, there it is. Okay, so the projected score, and mind you, this is just a model. It's not in any way like what the score will likely be, is 51-2. So Rutgers is, let's just call it a 49-point favorite in this game. I'm going to go around the room. Why don't you guys give me your score projection, and we'll kind of determine if we're going over, under, and if we think they'll cover the spread or not. Alec, how about you go first?
Yeah, I'm assuming the 51-2 thing. I'm assuming it's closer to what if they had to form a realistic score prediction, it's probably 52-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
This one's tough because I don't know how they're going to play this offensively. Because I mean, it seems like the offense is going to kind of drive the game, whether they keep their foot on the gas for a while or if they kind of not turtle up, but they just kind of try to get in and get out as quickly as possible on offense. They don't try to run up the score. Not that I think they're going to run up the score, but they don't try to be as aggressive. I could see this being like the score indicates a 52-3 game. I do think Norfolk State eventually gets on the board. I mean, they do have some solid playmakers. They have some explosion. If Rutgers has their second stringers in on defense, then they could catch him, on a bad play or something in some of their first college action. So I want to say something like 59-7 because I think the offense is explosive enough to put up a lot of points in the first half, and I think they kind of slow it down in the second half. How much of AJ Sarace do we see? How much of him throwing the ball do we see? It's kind of still kind of out in the air. I think Norfolk State does eventually get on the board. I'm going to go with like a 59-7. I mean, if we're thinking of the same strategy, I guess, as the two Wagner games, it seemed like in the third and fourth quarters, like they weren't really trying to do much offensively other than just take the clock out, run the ball, get out of there as quick as possible. So I think we'll probably see something similar to that. And I think this offense is more explosive, so we may see some more points than those Wagner games. So I'll go 59-7.
So 59-7, that means you have them covering the spread and you have them going over in this game. Rich, how about you? How do you see this game getting played out? Give us a score prediction.
I think they're going to kind of going hand in hand with what Alex said. They're going to go up big, and then they're just going to run the ball and just control the tempo, get out of there healthy. You'll probably see 2, maybe 3 series of like the youngsters, the freshmen or whatever you want to call them, true redshirt freshmen, and AJ Sarace. I don't know if they're really going to let him throw the ball. I do think he'll probably get at least like 1 or 2 passes off just to kind of display what he has, but for the most part, I think it's just going to be handoff. Like, here's a 2-yard run. Here's a 4-yard run. Here's a chunk play. Like, just keep getting the first down, keep running out the clock. Kind of do what you tried to do against Ohio in week 1 and just have 3 series in the second half and just get the hell out of there. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, your defense should be able to hold them no matter where you're at. So I'm going to say 45-7 because I feel like there's just one situation where they're probably just going to get down the field and they're just not going to be able to punch it in. And they're like, hey, Jay Patel, go out there, go kick a field goal. That math doesn't add up, does it?
55-7?
45-7.
45-7? That would be 6 touchdowns and a field goal. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did the math right. Okay. Sorry. Bad at math. Failed math in high school once. Not important. I got a D actually. It passed, so it just was barely passing. 9th grade math wasn't good for me. Yeah, I'm gonna say 45-7. I don't know. I think they score once. I just think it's gonna be Rutgers just saying, hey, score, get up big, get out of here. We're done. Focus on Iowa.
Yeah, this is a game that Rutgers, if they really wanted to, they could win 100-0. If they really wanted to just put the fiddle to the floor and just kind of beat the brakes off the under an overmatched team. I do think, based on how Shiana normally kind of plays these things out, that he'll have the second team or third team offense out there by halftime. If you remember last year, things were not going necessarily our way. Howard was opening night on that Thursday. Their quarterback on the opposite side ran for like 80 yards on like 10 carries. We weren't able to take him down. So the game was more competitive than I think should have been. I don't think that this Norfolk State team is going to be anywhere near as good as Howard. So how I think this game plays out is that Rutgers plays the starters in the first half. They get some turnovers on defense. They get a few sacks in the first half on defense. They get things that they're fundamentally sound and they're making plays. They kind of get their groove back a bit. And then we play our second and third team in the second half. We run the piss out of the ball. We try and just like extend drives as long as possible. We don't really air it out. We see a little bit of AJ Sarace. We see a little bit of Shane Ashtonfelder. I think Rutgers, I'm going to call a shutout. I don't think Norfolk State's going to end up scoring. If they do, I think it's going to be late. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with 48-0. So I don't think Rutgers covers in this hypothetical scenario, and I think it goes under. But if Rutgers really wanted to, they could win, like I said, 100-0 if they wanted. But I don't think that's going to happen. So let's talk a little bit more like over-under numbers, and I'm just going to throw them at you. Over-under the number of Rutgers players who score a touchdown tomorrow. I'm going to set it at 5.5. Alec, you think it's over or under that number?
It's tough because I was thinking like when you first said that, my first thought was 5. So I'll go with over. I'm going to say like 6.
Okay, Rich, over under 5.5 players to score a touchdown for Rutgers tomorrow.
I'm gonna say over. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of a hot take. I think maybe not a hot take, probably a normal take. I'm gonna say at least 3 running backs score.
Definitely could see it.
Yeah, I feel like it's not overly hot if they're gonna just run the ball endlessly in the second half.
Well, you figure Raymond gets one. You figure Campbell probably sneaks one in, and then it would come down to probably Mitchell or Benjamin, if not 4. Like I could see 4 potentially.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, especially a guy like Terrell Mitchell gets in late in the game. I'm gonna also say over. I think we could see a defensive score as well, and I think we're gonna see just a lot of backups get some serious run in the second half. So I'm gonna go over. Let's talk about an over-under for the number of Rutgers freshmen who play tomorrow. Right now, big old goose egg. There has not been a single true freshman to register a snap yet this season for the Scarlet Knights. I'm going to set this over-under at, let's continue with the 5.5. Rich, do you think it's over or under 5.5 true freshmen get their first playing time for the Scarlet Knights tomorrow?
It's so tough because like there's guys that were out last week that I think would play in this situation scenario, whatever. Like Jordan Houston missed last week. I think he's probably the best. I've been hyping him up for God knows how long now.
He stole the show at the spring game. So
yeah, I think Vernon Allen's probably going to play. Wide receivers will play. Also, like Michael Clayton was out last week. Is he going to be back this week? I don't know. Probably not. If I had to guess, it's not worth the risk. So I'm going to say over, but just slightly. Maybe even hit the number, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking around the same thing, around like 6, kind of similar to how many guys are going to score, like 6 or 7 or something like that. Because there's some guys that are on the, that are kind of on the verge. I don't want to say on the 2, but like on the verge of the 2 deep. It seems like that could get some playing time. And to kind of go off of that, I'm interested to see what the running back room looks like once the backups, if they do get in the game, because I think any of the 3 guys, if they pull the starters, all those 3 guys, Benjamin, Raymond, and Campbell, are all going to be out. I think they're all too important to this run game to risk just having them out there to soak up carries. So, is it Terrell Mitchell? Is it a guy like Ed Greer? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think I'll go just barely over.
So I'm also going to say over because I think there's going to be a lot more true freshmen that play than we expected. Maybe we see a little bit of a Whitey Collier late in the game. I think we'd all be excited for that. I'm not saying it will happen. He could just not have enough on his frame for the staff to even want to put him out there yet. But I'm going to go over. I think it's going to be like 8 or 9 guys get some playing time tomorrow. It's kind of all we got, guys. It's a little bit of a calm before the storm. We're going to have a lot of coverage for the Iowa game on next Friday, the 19th. So, that's crazy. We're a week away from that game. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we head out of here today?
That game's probably going to be named a sellout sooner than later. I'm expecting them to probably wait until after this game, but it sounds like it is basically sold out completely. That shouldn't be too shocking. I mean, 3-0 Rutgers, decent Iowa team, Friday night, under the lights, blackout, all the etc., blah, blah, blah. So that should be announced probably Sunday or Monday, if I had to guess. Maybe Monday they'll just wait, and Greg will announce it during his presser, like kind of hype it up a little bit. So, I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm just intrigued to see what – sorry, Alec, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just intrigued to see what Rutgers can do. So I did it again. I'm sorry.
I think they're going to pull out all the stops game presentation-wise as well, like they did for Washington last year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Hopefully, a food truck doesn't catch on fire because
Like it
it
did
happened
yesterday,
And for those of you who didn't see it, NC State played at Wake Forest last night, and at one point, I don't think the game got delayed, but a food truck in the stadium, or right outside the stadium, one or the other, caught on fire, and there was just billowing black smoke all over the stadium.
Do we have any basketball news or anything like that?
Oh, there's a visitor this weekend.
Right. Amari Wooten,
Yeah,
right?
Amari Wooten, the top 150 combo guard. He's moved around a little bit, played at Putnam Science Academy last year, is now back at his hometown, or not hometown, back in his home state of New York. I think it's Redemption Christian Academy he's playing for. So I think they have a really good shot at landing him, to be honest. I think that he used to be an Auburn lean last year. He took visits to Auburn and Missouri early. Those two kind of just moved on and went elsewhere. Rutgers got in recently, past couple months, and then it sounds like they're like in the lead for him right now. So we'll wait and see if they end up landing him. But that is their first of what should be a couple visitors over the next 2 weeks. Iowa weekend specifically has at least one, if not two visitors, I think, in Davian Atkins, who's like a top 25 kid. Someone else too. I forget who it was, but this could be Rutgers' first commit in 26. About time.
One more basketball note. Next Tuesday is Media Day for the Scarlet Knights basketball team. So we will all be in attendance for that, and we will give you everything that we saw, everything we heard from the coaching staff, probably on Wednesday morning, if I had to guess, if not Tuesday night. So that is also something to look forward to for the basketball fans out there. We haven't forgotten about you. They don't really give you any coverage of the team. They don't really give you any access to the team. It's tough to really tell you anything other than kind of the whispers we're hearing.
And hey, we posted the whispers this week. If you want to check those out on the round table, there's a very notable Rutgers person went and watched practice, and thoughts weren't as bad as I thought they would be. I thought they were actually decent thoughts. There's some questionable things in there about some of the transfers, but some good, some bad. So you want to check that out. That's some scoop from Rutgers summer practices on the round table, which is only $1 right now, by the way. So sign up now. It's easy, it's simple.
And then Darius Bivens is still visiting for homecoming next month, right?
Yes, that one. I forgot about that one, but I don't think they went him. To be fair, there was something else too. I feel like we're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, but I guess stay tuned to our YouTube for the live show. So check that out, or Twitter, whatever.
Yep, we will post that link, obviously, on all of our channels, be it Twitter, Instagram, etc., on the boards. But if you ever are looking for it after a game, immediately following a game, if you just go to our YouTube page, that's Rutgers Football 1. If you're not subscribed already, I don't know what you're doing. You should be. We could watch our beautiful faces live in 4K if you want to watch that, or you can listen to it on the podcast stream when it's available. But if you're ever wanting to just find the link, if you go to our channel and then you hit the live tab, that is where it'll be located. And also, if you just click the avatar icon when we're live, you'll be able to just view the live stream. So that TKR logo will have a red ring around it when there's a live broadcast going on.
Also, I mean, I was cool with it last week. I thought it worked out really well. Some guests.
Yeah, that did go really well. So we're going to continue to do that. So if you would like to join in on the conversation, we'll also have the link to join the StreamYard live show. So anybody who would like to come and chop it up after a game, we welcome anyone and everybody who wants to come talk Rutgers football after the game.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm assuming
you can do audio only too.
Yep. It'll probably be a similar format to last week, where Richie and where Mike and Richie get on immediately, and then I eventually join after the media duties are done.
Yeah, where Richie gets made fun of by half the press box for leaving early.
Are you gonna go to Vic's press this time, or are you just gonna skip it?
I want to really bad, but I don't think he's gonna say anything, and it's also not like I'm gonna actually get to talk to him other than ask him a question. It's like I don't really care that much. So I mean, if I get to talk, I would love for him to have joined our pod, but for some reason,
yeah, what is he?
Bozo SID never answered.
Do?
Yeah, what the fuck? What do you got? You got prep for Rutgers?
I have a feeling
there's no prep.
I have a feeling the Wagner coach that came on a couple of years ago is. I'm assuming it's a pretty uncommon occurrence.
Yeah,
we got lucky with that. For sure. All right. Well, thanks once again to everybody who has listened, rated, reviewed, told a friend. It's super helpful, and we really appreciate each and every one of you. But for me, Richie, and Alec, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.